All right, go for it.
Hello, everyone. This is the one and only. I'm I'm just bugging out, Steve. Welcome, everyone. It's the one and only Senor Silverback himself, Optimus Primate. And we are live with my main man, the master of the flux capacitor, who's working the Deliptium Christus, the producer extraordinaire, CJ's turning the turntables, making sure this broadcast is coming out crispy and clean. You can check us out on roguemoney.net. Follow us on Twitter at the Rogue Money. And check us out on Facebook on Rogue Money over there. You can follow us. Also, check us out on DTube. We're there. And most importantly, Steam It. Check us out on Steam It. If you haven't gotten a Steam It account, go get one. Decentralized social networking is here. Be part of the revolution at Steam It and DTube and any other decentralized platforms that are coming out. Please support it because this is how we unplug from the Borg and we are able to salute all the Silicon Valley mavens and give them the one finger salute as we exit stage left, stage right for that matter. Anyway, also check out our sponsors, RemainCom.net. RemainCom.net. Whether you need the gold USB so you can surf the internet anonymously with 1024-bit military-grade elliptical encryption, okay, meaning it's pretty much damn near unbreakable. You can message, you can email, you can secure your Bitcoin wallet. And please, folks, do not take the gold USB, get on their built-in Tor browser that's been encrypted, and then try to go manage your account on Coinbase. That's ridiculous. That's counterproductive, okay? Of course, it's not going to show up. Come on. I had some emails. Okay, I access my Coinbase on my Chase online banking account. Of course not. Geez, don't do that. Use your regular computer for that. This is for you to conduct your other business in until the silverback comes out, where you'll be completely in the dark web. Um, I asked Mr. X about the silverback development. It could be any day, any week, at any moment. It could pop up. They're in the final testing stages of this whole entire thing, getting all the bugs worked out, make sure things run smoothly. So get ready for the silverback. I'm excited for it. I can't wait to get it and plug it up to my machines over here. And I got a lot of machines, CJ. I'm looking at my desk. I got 4 monitors going. It's crazy, dude. It's surprised I don't have like radiation poisoning and there's not a cauliflower growing off the side of my head with the amount of electronics that I'm surrounded with. Oh my god. And also, guys, if you need personal funding, RemainCom.net does that as well. Their network of 335 lenders can get you up to $600,000 unsecured, meaning you don't have to put up your house, your car, or your child as collateral, which is a great thing. RemainCom.net, 335 lenders, $600,000 unsecured. You want to get into cryptos? Get into cryptos. You want to get into stocks, bonds, whatever the hell it is you want to get into, it's your money. Go do it with it what you want. They'll do that. And most importantly, Remain Com's perfect asset protection program. And these guys have done so much work. It's ridiculous trying to fit it all in. Their asset protection program, Thrive package, it protects you from any sort of levying, protects you. Basically, look, here's the deal. Go to remaincom.net. Okay, and if you don't have any financial issues, you just want to make sure you're protected. Your assets, like your bank accounts, your personal property, everything is protected. Go there, get their Thrive package. They'll set it up for you. And I swear to you, man, it's somebody try to sue you for $1,000,000, you can literally go laugh hysterically at their face. Literally laugh hysterically at their face because that's how awesome the setup is. These guys do all the work. They're the pros at getting it done. And also, if you need your credit repaired, they do that as well. Asset protection, they do that as well. Gold USB and personal as well as business funding if you need cash and capital. RemainCom.net. Don't freak out. RemainCom.net. Good grief! These guys put everything in one spot, and now it's like the infomercial's twice as long now. CJ.
Well, I tell you what, it was a lot of fun on Friday's show as well. So
Oh,
if
dude,
our
yeah,
listeners
totally.
have not had a chance to go back and replay that, go check that out.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We had Frank and Mr. X on from RemainCom.net, and these guys just literally just explained the whole entire thing, soup to nuts. Check it out. Great interview. It was a lot of fun. It's about privacy. It's about asset protection. It's about debt. It's about, figure out how the game is played, man. Figure out how the game is played. RemainCom.net. Don't freak out. Remain calm. With that all out of the way, CJ, where do we begin?
Gosh, so much to talk about, V. I mean, I'm not sure how your weekend went, but I just got off the bus from St. Louis. So I spent the weekend there
The heck
earning
were you doing? Were
money.
you riding? Were you riding out there?
I was, V. I thought the one way to supplement the income was to go
Right.
protest.
Go supplement the income. Go rescue Air Jordans from a Foot Locker. Folks, if you're ever in a city and a riot breaks out, places you shouldn't be hanging out at, Foot Locker. Avoid the Foot Lockers because there will be people coming there to rescue the shoes. They're not looting, CJ. They're just rescuing the sneakers from catastrophe.
Yeah, and the economic impact already to St. Louis, which we know is just completely in turmoil right now. But a couple big events, I think two or three big events had to be canceled this weekend because the they were overloaded in terms of the police, even the sheriff's office. They just could not ensure any type of security needed for those big events. So I think like big artists like U2's concert was canceled. Ed Sheeran, I think that's his name. There was one other big event, and they all had to be scratched. So one person's actions and everyone else has to pay consequences for it. Makes a lot of sense.
Well, if you really want to stick it to the man, the way you do it is you basically burn down where you live. That sends them a message. Yeah, you want to mess with me? Watch me burn down my own house and my own neighborhood. Yeah, I'll show you the supremacist here. That's what I would do. See, I just burn down my own my own place. I'll basically crap where I eat. And
Well, I think yeah. I mean, it's kind of taking a play out of the administrations. Like whenever things don't go your way, just issue sanctions with them or threaten them with trade wars.
that's it. That's it. Just that's what I call you never go full blown libtard, and this is what happens, man. Anyway, speaking of trade wars, my man, I agree with our buddy Jim Rogers. We need to have Jim on so he can talk about this. I love that man. He's an awesome dude, great guy, and I owe him a couple of blue labels whenever I get down to Singapore. I will be definitely sitting down with this guy and throwing back a few cold ones. Jim Rogers warns if Trump starts a trade war with China, it will end U.S. hegemony. And he is absolutely right, CJ. What did our buddy Jim say?
Well, specifically in regards to the fact that, listen, these trade wars, they're not going to work in part because, China and Russia have already put, countermeasures in place to that. So, basically he said if China doesn't follow these sanctions, will be additional sanctions on them, prevent them from accessing the U.S. international dollar system. And that's the threat that came forth from Mnuchin that we covered last week.
Yep.
And Jim Rogers, who is a very successful investor, knows a lot about trade. Just specifically said, listen, the sanctions will not work. That all these other workarounds have been put in place. We're already starting to witness a lot of the change away from the dollar as far as settlement. So it's not going to work. V at the end of the day, it just simply won't. It'll just backfire on us.
Absolutely. This will expedite our death. We spoke about this last week. Our friend Jim Rogers, billionaire investor Jim Rogers. He's in a recent interview that he's done with RT. Jim said the same thing that we're saying. And Jim is somebody who lives in the East. He's seen Asia. Look, folks, here's the deal, man. Look, hundreds of years ago, ancestors for many of the people in this country woke up on a continent of Europe and says, you know what, it really sucks here. There's no jobs, there's no prospects, there's no opportunity. Government's breathing down my neck. I'm sick of this socialistic BS. I'm out. They got on a boat and they came to the United States. Why? And then began the greatest industrial boom and economic might of the U.S. started to roll. And now what's happening again, CJ, is that those in the West, especially in the U.S., are starting to wake up. And there's some of us who are waking up and saying, hey, you know what, it really sucks here. There's no opportunities, there's no real jobs. And I'm tired of all the socialistic BS. And they're looking towards Asia. Jim Rogers is one of those guys. He's moved his wife, his family, his kids all over to Asia. They're in Singapore. His kids are learning Mandarin. They go to a top school over there. And Asia's the future. The next century is the Asian century. Either you're on the train or you're off the train. You either get it or you don't get it. Either you're gonna, hoot and holler and rah-rah the dying jackal and support its stupid, ridiculous wars around the world, or you're going to do something productive and say, hey, you know what? Blowing up third world countries and exploiting them is maybe not the right to go. Folks, there are trillions of dollars China has made because of mutually beneficial trade agreements where they are developing infrastructure for nations in exchange for resources, win-win situations. Why can't we do the same thing? And this whole entire thing of, the idiot Mnuchin, he's probably high off the success of his movie Lego Batman, which he was one of the backers. That's what it is. He's high off the success of Lego Batman, and he literally thinks he is Lego Batman. Steve, that's it. I'm gonna call Steve Lego Batman Mnuchin. He's Lego Batman. That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's his new name is Lego Batman. So Lego Batman and Waffle House Haley. Okay, that's Nikki the Waffle House Haley. These two brightest bulbs these two dim bulbs in a very dimly lit room are out there saying that we're going to sanction the Chinese and deny them access to the dollar. You fools. You idiots. You morons. You never threaten your creditor. Debtor nations should not, and they should not threaten their credit. No one wants access to your dumb dollar. Okay? Look at even the poor, pathetic Venezuelans. Last week, CJ, we reported on this that Nicholas the Sweetness, the bus driver Maduro, is no longer going to settle in dollars for his oil, which, watch the rapid turnaround economically in the next 6 to 10 months. What will happen in Venezuela as things begin to stabilize? The thing I told Nicholas the Sweetness, the Maduro, okay, the bus driver himself, on many a broadcasts, I said, Nick, I don't speak Spanish, but here's the deal. You need to get off the dollar, man. You need to get off. Somebody somewhere was listening back in 2014 when I was screaming from the rooftops that if you really want your country to succeed, you want your country not to starve to death because, they had a toilet paper crisis, okay, which is terrible. People were lining up for toilet paper. They had no toilet paper in the country. Why? Because they couldn't get the foreign reserves up enough. In other words, get the dollar amounts up enough in order for them to purchase toilet paper from abroad, okay? And then that toilet paper problem, CJ, was soon rectified as they had a food crisis. No food, no toilet paper. You don't eat, right. You don't poop. Problem solved, right? So this is the route it was going. And I said specifically for Nicholas the Sweetness, the bus driver Maduro, to get off the dollar. And now they are getting off the dollar. Watch, in 6 to 10 months, mark my words, banning any further U.S. involvement or chicanery. Watch the turnaround in Venezuela, which is going to be pretty interesting to see because the U.S. has threatened Venezuela with invasion. You remember that, huh? We should have some sort of intervention in Venezuela. Why? Yep. Because again, this is a hegemon who have. Venezuela is an area. It's a country that's very rich. I mean, the freaking country is floating on oil. Okay, it's floating on oil. The U.S. deep state would love nothing more than to take Venezuela over and to use it as part of its drug corridor with Colombia. Okay, so these are the things that are happening. So going back to this article, any sort of sanctions against China, okay, if the nuclear look what Jim Rogers said, if it uses a nuclear option for sanctions, it will hurt America much more than it will hurt North Korea. It will hurt America more than it will hurt China, Russia, and everybody else. It will force the rest of the world to find an alternative to the U.S. financial system, which they have already done. They're already doing. The world's already got the handwriting on the wall. Mene, mene, tekel, and prasim. You've laid against the scales and you've been found wanting. If he does that, it's going to cause a lot of turmoil in the world financial economy. And in the end, it's going to hurt America more than it's going to hurt anybody else. It's absolutely right, bro. He's confirming. Here's a multi-billion-dollar investor confirming what the lowly troop over at the morning show of V and CJ have been saying for quite some time. Go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, I mean, the massive trade deficit that occurs annually, with China. And V, I think we're specifically seeing a lot of U.S. Retailers that are going to immediately, feel the impact of this rhetoric in terms of, think of the creditors out there. Think of a financial institution. Like, for example, it was announced on Friday that Toys R Us is going to be going through bankruptcy, possibly at the worst time, and it's not
Yes.
it's billions of dollars that they have in loans. Well, maybe millions. I need to go back and reference the article. However, in stating that, think of from a creditor perspective. So as they're going through this and they're looking for people to help bail them out, do you think that this type of rhetoric and seeing what's happening with the dollars, that they're going to have any financial institutions that they're going to come to their rescue? More than likely not, because I think that a lot of the goods, that whether it's a soft lines or a durable good, the hard lines, whatever retail sector it is, they're going to be in a world of hurt, that at some point when their buyers go to China, they go to these foreign countries and they want these holiday goods, Christmas, Halloween, whatever it is, and they say, great, that cargo shipment that's coming across, we don't want your dollar, though. We don't want your treasury notes. You're going to have to find some other way to pay us, by the way.
Yep, exactly correct, man. Exactly correct. It's coming. This is the new world. This is the multipolar world that's upon us, and rather than being on board with the multipolar world and understanding our role on the global place, we're just the bratty kid, the bratty bully who hasn't quite grown up, while the rest of the class has gotten bigger, stronger, and moved on into the 12th grade. We're still the sixth grade juvenile delinquent, and that's exactly what's happening, man. Floyd, money, Mayweather, and cryptocurrencies, my man. What's going on with my main man Floyd?
Yeah, so there's a lot of companies that are really coming forth and really focusing on the promotions that are occurring, with some of these initial coin offerings, these ICOs. And Floyd Mayweather is just jumped in, even before his last fight that he had. He's been working with this media group, crypto media group, which sounds very similar to Tatiana that we've interviewed before. I think hers is Crypto Media Hub. I think, though, I'll look that up. But anyway, yeah. So he is just on a tear in the promotions of these ICOs, and his most recent is an interesting post. He has a picture of basically a debit, slash credit card, spending bitcoins and Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies in Beverly Hills with my titanium Centra card. So again, just kind of promoting that this ICO starts on September 19th. So the crossover is happening. I mean, you're seeing a lot more of cryptos and blockchain going mainstream.
Nice. There you go. And Floyd is crazy about cryptos. He's invested a lot of money over the years in cryptocurrencies. He's big on Bitcoin. He's big on a lot of things. Um, he's a smart dude. He's made some smart investments. He's surrounded himself with some very talented people. So good luck to Floyd. Big ups to him. I'm glad he's getting the ideal out there into the consciousness, and that's always a good thing. That's always a good thing. That's how you get the mass market, who are typically in a stupor, to kind of wake up to alternative ways of doing business and living in general. CJ.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's some interesting details from North Korea as we're talking about war. There's some clear insights. I just finished watching this little report. It was a 12-minute report on Russian TV, and the entire report was basically detailing North Korea and what they're like. Well, most people in America don't know this, and this is one of the things that I realized why the deep state is in operation in a state like North Korea. The Korean state is over 3,000 years old. Okay, they've had a printing press 320 years before the Gutenberg press. Okay, so there's we all know that war is inevitable, right? I'm sorry, war is not going to happen. Okay, and Vladimir Putin is correct. North Koreans would rather eat grass than give up their nuclear weapons. It's the very thing that prevents the U.S. from invading them. And the U.S. doesn't realize this, and this is the problem with the U.S. You know how you take out somebody like Kim Jong-un, bro? I'm going to give you the strategy. Do you know how you do
Break
this?
it down.
All right, I'll tell you. The way you take out a person like Kim Jong-un is not to isolate his country. You want to take him out, the best strategy you do is you integrate his country with the rest of the global economy. And eventually, free market starts working. And then the people himself will either weaken his position as leader or completely overthrow him. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like economics is the most powerful. Look, folks, I'm the guy who said, look, economics is the most powerful driver in human development and evolution. Even though I don't believe in the theory of evolution, I'm just talking about how civilization developed. Okay, Economics is the most powerful driver. Do you realize this? Language was invented. Okay, this is the truth here, folks. Language was invented because we needed a way to keep track of accounting. Okay, that's the whole entire thing. Let's see your books that actually came from the ancients who would write what they have and the amount that they had in letters and numbers. Okay, this was their way of keeping tabs or keeping account of everything that they had within their kingdoms. Okay, economics is the most powerful driver in human history. Religion is simply organized religion. I'm not talking about spirituality. Spirituality and religion are two different things. If you haven't figured it out by now, then you're lost, and take some time to go on a pilgrimage of self-discovery. Maybe you'd find out for yourself as well. But organized religion is simply economics applied to politics. Okay, so the heavy statement. A lot of you are going to think that's crazy. That sounds ridiculous. But I went to church, and my priest, and my pastor, my rabbi, my imam, whatever. Okay, but it's economics applied to politics. So the way you get this guy Un out, okay, the way you get some dumb fool out, is you do not isolate his country. If you isolate his country, you threaten his country, you make his position stronger. Open his country up. And I promise you, in 20 years, in 20 to 30 years, the free market will do effectively what all the sanctions and all the saber rattling hasn't been able to do in the last 60 years, CJ.
Yep.
And they can do it without firing a shot. God, is the gorilla the only one with a brain when it comes to foreign policy? I mean, come on.
I think that you may have like arm, leg, shoulders, whole body above Haley, Nikki Haley.
Donald, if you're listening, just fire the Waffle House wench, and you could hire me on retainer. Heck, you know what? I'll do it for free, bro. Please, just pay me a $1 salary. I'll, just God. Gee, that's how you deal with North Korea, man. It's as simple as that. You're not going to threaten these people. These people have been prepared for nuclear war since the 50s, bro. You ain't going to scare them.
That's right. No, not at all.
They're going to go underground. They'll wait it out. They'll play like the video was saying. We will play our accordions and have a good time, and then we'll come back out and rebuild socialism. And the main thing, the main thing why the deep state helped divide North and South Korea is this, man. Okay. Imagine, if you will, a unified Korean state. Dude, if Korea was united, do you know how powerful they'd be?
Oh, wow. Massive, yeah.
They would be a world power. They would be more powerful than Japan. They will be a rival to China. Absolute rival to China. No doubt about it. So it's in the best interest of a lot of world leaders, okay, to keep the Korean Peninsula divided. That's as simple as that, Siege. All right. Facebook and Scroogle, man. What's going on? Dominating digital ad spend. What is this, man?
I kind of want to highlight these next couple of articles and just go high level over them, and then hopefully later on this afternoon, our friend Charles Hugh Smith from of Two Minds is scheduled, but we need to follow up with him because he's been doing some traveling just to confirm that. But he's been doing a lot of research, digging in. I always love his work, on his blog site, in part because he really takes apart and takes a look at Facebook, at Google, and dares ask the question: are these the new colonial powers? And what he means by that, in part, is that a phrase in this article, a phrase that even captured me that I'm reading, is that it's quote unquote, when an online service is free, you're not the customer, you're the product. In other words, when you're not paying for the service or content, then your information harvested by Google, Facebook, your time online, your attention, and the content you create and post for free, that you create, all the products are being sold to advertisers at a premium. So these couple articles, he really drills down to ask the question in terms of the amount of digital spend by companies, and you take over the last, like in 2016, for example, there was close to $72 billion in digital ads spent, across all different, formats, whether it's
Yeah.
banners, media, sponsorships, etc. And when you break that dollar down, it's amazing the growth and the dominance of Google and Facebook. So of that digital share in ad market, Google's like at 45%, and I'm sorry, 41%, and Facebook is at 16.6%.
Yeah.
So this article kind of ties back to say, well, these couple of players are really kind of in a way working against freedom, working against, free speech, working against all these things. So are these two companies becoming basically, colonial powers,
Yeah.
where they're selling and they're harvesting all this information that they're selling to to different groups? So it's a great article, and again, I would really like for Charles to drill into these, and go into more of the details in regards to the spend money. He's done some research, kind of showing that, how the clickbait farms, and how some of the fake revenue that's generated from ads from these companies, how it's manipulated, and then more importantly, showing for the most part that these digital ads and so forth really aren't working. There's several companies that are backing away from the digital ad spend, saying, what, we're not seeing a return on our Facebook ads. We're not seeing products being, purchased and all that. But we'll let Charles dig into this. But he's definitely, again, just thinking along the same lines in terms of, kind of the overreach of the social media platforms and Google.
Right. Yeah, great point, man. Great. Yeah, absolutely correct. I mean, these are, definitely colonial powers. It's almost like a neo-feudalism where we don't have the right. I mean, we are the product. We are the ones that's being traded. It's bad enough that, our social security numbers are on some trade platform somewhere in Wall Street and being sold as derivative on the back end. It's bad enough that happens, man. But, our data, who we are. I mean, people are like, oh my God, Equifax got hacked. Okay, well, go to the guys at remaincom.net. They could probably fix everything in the, when I heard Equifax got hacked, I was happy because now you can pretty much claim anything that was there on your credit file. It'll be easier to take off. You should be more pissed off at the fact that Facebook, okay, Equifax not out there selling your data. Okay, they're not selling your data to somebody else, as far as I know. Okay, but Fakebook and Scroogle, they are. They're selling it to everybody. Guys, if you have an Android phone, right? Like I have both Android and iOS, and iOS is out the box more secure. Android, you got to make it secure. One of the ways you got to make it secure is you go into your settings, you scroll all the way down to where it says Google settings. Okay, it's you scroll, you have connections, mobile hotspot, you scroll all the way down where it says Google settings. And then what you'd want to do is once you get into the Google settings, there's this thing that says services where it says ads. Click on ads, okay? And then you hit the button that says opt out of ads personalization. Okay? You click that off. And once you click that off, your phone's ability to report ads and how to advertise to you is shut off. Okay? That's one of the ways of doing it. Other ways, utilize a VPN. There's a lots of great VPNs out there. I use Nord. There's a couple other wonderful VPNs out there. Pay for one because the paid VPNs typically work better. They have better service, better connections. That's what you got to do, man. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I recommend. There's no reason why people should be figuring out who you are, what you look like, what do you buy, where do you go, and then marketing all this stuff to you. It freaks me out when people do this. They put their entire lives on a social media platform like Facebook. They put their like it. I don't understand how parents put their children's pictures on Facebook, man. Like their younger kids and whatnot. Are you kidding me? It's crazy, bro. I don't get it. You shouldn't put any of your family. You shouldn't even have Facebook. There's a way you can delete your profile permanently without like deactivating it. Just completely purge out your profile. Get it done. You can do a Google search on how to do it. It's pretty awesome. Then all the pictures you've taken, they'll send it to you in a zip file, and you just extract it, and you're good. That's it.
Yeah, well, and a lot of these can be said, regarding all the apps that are being created right now. All the apps that yeah, you heard this new app is great, and you thumb through the terms and conditions, and the next thing that you're arriving at the car wash, and the app asks you, do you want to check in, or do you want to take a picture, or the business hours of this place? Can you confirm that this place has a parking lot? All this
Yeah, yeah,
intrusive stuff that these
right,
apps are generating. And then what's coming next is then obviously the ads. As you start to surf the internet, it's going to know specifically where you are, where have you been, and
mhm,
start to curate these ads specifically catered to you.
correct. Trump's UN speech. Will he continue his pivot towards the middle? What's going on over there, Siege?
Yeah, so this is a big week for the administration. It'll be Trump's first time delivering a speech to the UN, and it's in a very important time. V, if you think about the escalation, in North Korea, Syria, a little flare up. Apparently, Lavrov and Tillerson are going to be meeting before the UN, meeting to specifically talk about a few things. And what's interesting is that if we remember, candidate Trump prior to him becoming president, he really spoke out against the UN about the lack of action on the UN, the massive amount of fraud within the money that goes to the UN. And so it'll be interesting to see hear his speech, specifically what he details. And just as a reminder, from this article, it's great that when you think of the UNV, U.S. taxpayers provide 22% of the UN's regular budget, billions of dollars more each year in voluntary contribution throughout the UN system. In recent years, the funding has totaled $7.7 to $8 billion, 7 to 8 billion, not 78, annually. So by far, we're the largest contributor to the UN. And then from there, the disparity, like the next country that gives the most, and it's ironic that they do because they're so in debt, is Japan. Japan gives 9.68% of the UN's budget. So it would be nice to, in this speech, is going to hear him talk about the massive reform that's needed. When you have the UN Security Council that's allowing, like for example, the Human Rights Council, and they appoint Saudi Arabia to chair the Human Rights Council. I mean, come on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's always a great thing having Saudi Arabia. I think they just executed like their 50th person by beheading them in some sort of town square over there. They have, yeah, having them as human rights makes perfect sense, bro. Makes perfect sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah, so that
Oh my
starts
god.
today, I believe. So we'll have to monitor that and see exactly what transpires.
What do you know what they're talking about? Like, what is this whole thing
It,
about?
it's
Like,
just
what's the
it's
point?
just basically a summit about reforms, to talk specifically around reform that's needed in the United Nations. I'm sure that there'll be a lot of conversation, and why it's been in the news lately is this whole Paris Treaty Accord. And I think the UN is going to try to leverage some pressure from a lot of these countries that have signed off on it.
Yeah.
And we're getting mixed reports. We're getting a lot of mixed reports that Trump is stating that he's willing to negotiate as long as it's reformed. The Paris Treaty Accord is reformed. That perhaps the United States will sign back on to it. So basically, to talk a lot about, in part, the social that the UN, and we specifically, we don't need them. I mean, we don't need a world government body to be intrusive on our lives here in the United States. V.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing if that's what they're going to be doing, and I'd like to see the UN gone and dismantled. It's a useless organization. Good riddance to it. Canada's marijuana industry ready to skyrocket and get lit up, literally, but is it good for consumers, CJ? Is it?
Yeah, so there's a lot of a lot of discussions going on right now in regards to the cannabis boom in Canada, and it's about to explode. It's going to be in part close to 22.6 billion annually in cannabis sales, and already one of the companies, it's called Cannabis Wheaton, has already signed a massive amount of growers. They're going to be driving this. So it's estimated that they will have 15 different partnerships, 17 facilities in Canada to exclusively grow. Now, in part, why this is important is because, like here in the United States, we have states that have different laws that have been passed, and I think what's important is in Canada, one of the largest advocacy group is called Cannabis Culture,
Yeah.
and Jody Emery and her husband. I mean, they have all these medicinal shops, and they've been arrested, they've been threatened, and they're actually providing testimony right now on this. So why I there's some pause to cannabis on this massive scale is that you have to be careful what you advocate and how the legalization is passed, because in part Canada is thinking about potentially the dispensaries will be state owned, and they potentially may not allow individual grows. So there's as states and countries consider, like even us here in the United States, think about this. I think it's going to be important to keep the small scale growers intact, to keep individual license intact. That if there's a patient that needs to I think in Oregon, a individual can have up to 6 plants to use to make their extracts and things like that. But you have to just be real careful in terms of how big it does get. But in terms of Canada and their approach to it, I think they're going to directly tie it to their economy and utilize cannabis to kind of help fill in any type of budget pitfalls in Canada. V.
Absolutely, man. I agree wholeheartedly, brother. I agree wholeheartedly. And that brings us to the end of the program, CJ. What do we got lined up today, my man?
Well, I'm very excited. We have London Paul coming on. It is the
Yeah.
series report. So he'll be coming on here in about 15, 20 minutes or so. And then I'm going to follow up and get with Charles Hugh Smith just to confirm this afternoon show with him, V.
Absolutely. Thank you all for listening in, and we'll be right back. Take it away, CJ.